I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. I want to highlight a Republican member of Congress who this week is calling out others in his party who want to shut down the government. His name is David Joyce. He's a Republican member of Congress from Ohio. He's not only calling out his own political party for those who want to shut down the government, but Congressmember David Joyce is also calling out Donald Trump for not living in reality. And Congressmember Joyce also stated that he has full confidence that the prosecutions against Donald Trump will run their course, and ultimately it will be for a jury to determine the evidence and to determine whether Donald Trump will be found guilty. Those are very basic words, and I just think it is surprising that you don't have many more members of the Republican Party saying that. Now, look, I'm sure that I disagree with Congressmember Joyce on many, many issues. I would say most issues. But where we can forge common ground, where you see someone like in the clips I'm about to show you who is level-headed and who wants to have serious discussion, I think it is important that we highlight that and promote that and remind everybody that that's what politics should be. We can have serious disagreements, but we should not try to undermine and overthrow our government and undermine and overthrow our judicial process. Let me show you this clip first. This is Congressmember David Joyce saying that we all know that Donald Trump doesn't live in reality, and that Congressmember Joyce has full confidence in the prosecutions taking place. Play the clip.
But remember, it's a Democrat charging his opponent. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. That means that if I win and somebody wants to run against me, I call my attorney general. I say, listen, indict him. Well, he hasn't done anything wrong that we know of. I don't know. Indict him on income tax evasion. You'll figure it out.
What's your reaction to that?
Well, look, as we all know, President Trump says a lot of things that aren't based in reality. And as a former prosecutor, I have complete faith in the system and that these cases have gone before grand juries. And the grand juries have assessed them and produced indictments based upon the facts, the evidence, and the law that exists in the state or the federal jurisdiction in which these cases were brought forward. And I think those cases should run their course. In the meantime, I think that we have a lot of great candidates out there. It's still early in the season. And I think we have time for the American people to be able to cast their votes accordingly.
Congressman,
Now, I do want to highlight this about Congressmember Joyce's background, which I think is important. Began his career as a public defender in Ohio in Geauga County from 1985 to 1988. He later became a prosecutor in Geauga County before becoming a member of Congress. In 2012, he prosecuted the killer in the 2012 Chardon High School shooting of 6 students that took place in February 27th, 2012. So he understands law and order. He understands evidence. And again, while I am confident I will disagree with this individual, with David Joyce, on most issues, when I watched him on that CNN interview, I said, you know what, that's kind of normal politics right there that we should aspire to, and we could have normal disagreements. Let me show you this other clip. This is David Joyce, again, calling out members of his own party, specifically people like Chip Roy in the Freedom Caucus. And here, Congressmember Joyce is saying, look, we all remember what happened with prior shutdowns. It is a really harmful thing, and the people who try to encourage that, often Republicans, don't even get what they are looking to get out of it. Here, play this clip.
Joining me. I want to start by what Chip Roy just said in Melanie's report there. He is one of several of your Republican colleagues who seem okay with the notion of a shutdown. You heard him there saying they can't rubber stamp the status quo. He told Political, yeah, there might be blowback on a shutdown, but I don't give a damn. What's your response?
Well, thanks for having me on, Dana, and especially on a day like today where we remember those people who were murdered by terrorists and the brave first responders who followed them and did the best they could. Look, I hear that all the time, and I got to remember that, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Roy was the chief of staff for Ted Cruz when they urged us into that shutdown in 13, and, that went so well. So I think here in 13, 18, 19, we've had these shutdowns. They haven't accomplished a hell of a lot. And when people tell me that they want to just shut the country down, all right, I'll walk with you a little bit, but tell me what the end result is. Tell me how you're going to change the outcome here when the Senate is controlled by a Democrat and the president's a Democrat. I mean, it was as crazy as saying that you were going to defund Obamacare and the Senate was going to pass it and President Obama was going to sign it. But, the other thing is being on Homeland Security, a lot of things that they're asking for, they're in our funding bill. And the idea you're going to defund Homeland Security completely because you want to change what's taking place at the border, that doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense.
How are you going to
either.
convince them of what you're saying, though? These are your fellow Republicans.
Take my bill just for a second. Sure, take my bill, if you will, Homeland Security. All the things that they're asking for in H.R. 2, we're funding in our bill. You go through it line by line. I mean, the last time we had a conference, even Majority Leader Scalise spoke up and said, hey, if you guys would actually read Joyce's bill, it's a great bill. It accomplishes all the things that you're asking for. But, that doesn't get you on TV every day. And that kind of rhetoric is good for, winding up the crowds in your hometown. But as far as making our government function and making it work for the American people, it doesn't make any sense.
And I think it's so refreshing just to see dialogue like that, discourse like that, calm, evidence-based, thoughtful. And again, we can have disagreements, but I want to compare that to, for example, like what is Marjorie Taylor Greene and others like her doing at this same period of time. You've got Marjorie Taylor Greene as Congress returns from its recess. What's she saying? If the Biden admin refuses to stop the invasion of cartel-led human and drug trafficking into our country, states should consider seceding from the union. So you got Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about secession. Like, that's not okay. And it is sad and disappointing to have members of Congress who are so unserious, and also that it's being led by someone spineless like Kevin McCarthy, MAGA Republican, who enables this, who gives Marjorie Taylor Greene significant positions and emboldens her to say things like that. Remember the clips I showed you of Congressmember Joyce, and then let's compare them to, like, here's what Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying at the same time. Play this clip of Marjorie Taylor Greene.
The Fulton County DA is charging President Trump and others in the state of Georgia with. And this is what I want to do. I want to make sure that the Republican Party never, ever forgets, because we need to be sure to come after these people when we win the White House in 2024. And I'm going to tell you something right now, Eric, we are going to win. And when we win and we take charge of the Department of Justice and the FBI, those agencies need to be gutted. They need to be gutted of the communists that are doing this to Americans and twisting the Justice Department. We need to impeach these judges that are abusing the power of their bench. And then we need to go after the real criminals in America, the ones that are destroying our freedoms and the ones that are willing to tear our country down and politicize the power of the federal government against Americans.
And as she's posting things like, put the vote to the floor of impeachment, even if it fails, I guarantee you if you put it back, it'll pass because every single Republican that votes no to it will get destroyed by their districts. No, you can't enable extremism like this. And by the way, while Congress was in recess, didn't you feel that America was more united? Didn't you feel that more was being done when these MAGA Republicans were back in their home districts and they weren't every single day holding these ridiculous, dangerous hearings where they amplify Russian disinformation? Like, I want a return to normalcy, okay? And it's not a both sides issue. The way you saw David Joyce talk, that's how I see every day the Democrats speaking in their interviews, speaking in the committee hearings, and you contrast that to what I just showed you by Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's another way, folks. There's another way. It doesn't have to just be this cosplay WWE fascism. We're going to fight against that here at the MeidasTouch Network. And where, again, I see people who I disagree with, like David Joyce, but who ultimately I said, you know what, that's common sense. That seems pragmatic. I'm going to show it. I'm going to show it here on the MeidasTouch Network. Hey, do me a favor, hit subscribe. We're on our way to 2 million subscribers thanks to your support. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch and check us out wherever you get audio podcasts at the MeidasTouch Podcast. Have a great day.
Hey, Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.